Eve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we will be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 55. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Pardhamano Gatan Atmanyevatmana Tushtaha Sthita Pragnastadotyate. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, said in response to Arjuna's inquiry in the previous verse. Arjuna asked a few questions. One being, what is the characteristic of a person who is a Sthita Pragna? Sthita Pragnasya ka bhasha. We discussed that bhasha refers to description of the characteristics of a person or a symptoms of a person. Symptoms of whom? Of a Sthita Pragna, a self-realized person. So for that now Krishna is answering that question. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, this person, Sthita Pragnaha tada uchyate, he is called a Sthita Pragna tada at that time, yada when, he prajahati yada kaman, when he gives up all the desires, when he stops acting on all the desires, sarvan manogatan, that are produced in the mind. The mind keeps on producing all these desires for sense gratification. Kaman, sarvan manogatan kaman prajahati. That person, yada prajahati, when he gives up acting on those kind of desires born in the mind, and if he is not taking pleasure from those desires, because everybody takes pleasure from their desires, satisfying their desires. So what is the source of his pleasure? Ultimately, the spirit soul needs to get pleasure. So that person, he takes pleasure in Atmani. Atmani eva. Atmana tushtaha. Within the mind, he becomes satisfied by Krishna consciousness. Atmani eva. Atmani eva means, Atmani means in the pure state of the soul, in connection with Krishna. Atmana means by the purified mind. So the purified mind takes pleasure in Krishna, in connection with Krishna, in satisfying the desires of Krishna. That is a higher satisfaction. Tushtaha. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. That is called Sthita Pragnaha tada uchyate. That person is called a Sthita Pragna. So there was this man who was raising his two children, and the mother was also there, housewife. So, but they were into a little bit of poverty. He wanted to raise the children very nicely, without any miseries. So he finds a job at a remote place. So he tells them that I'll go work for this job and it pays me well, and I will take care of you so nicely. Don't worry about anything. My desire is that you have to live very happily, very nicely, affluently. So I'll go there, work for that company, and I'll keep sending you money, and don't worry about how much you spend, just enjoy life. So he goes there, starts to work, and he starts to get good salary and he starts to send them this money. And so after first month, they ask for more money. And then because he wants them to be always happy and he thinks that they're enjoying nicely, he doesn't ask them any question. Okay, maybe they want, because of my absence, they want more money. So he works even harder. He sends money. And then after another 2 months, they ask for more money. And then he's working harder. He keeps on sending. For 1 year, he kept on sending whatever they asked without asking. And the more he sent, the more their needs kept on becoming more. And after 1 year, he just couldn't withstand what is happening. And then he travels long distance and comes back home. And he sees that the house has been taken away. And these people are living in utter poverty with hunger pangs. And this man becomes shocked and he wants to understand what is happening. I've kept on sending money, and what is happening here? And then they said, no, the money never came to us. That is why we kept on asking you more and more money. The bills had to be paid and the food has to be given, and we were in utter distress. And then he figures out that the money that he's been sending to a wrong account. There was a mistake in the account number, and that has been deposited in the wrong account. That never came to these people. And they remained in distress. So our mind and senses, we should understand, they are not our account. They are wrong accounts. They are not me. We should always remember this. My mind is not me. My senses are not me. They are material energy. I am spirit soul, has got nothing to do with this body. It's just a dead matter. It's just material energy. And you are working so hard to satisfy the desires of your mind and senses. And you are giving the result of your hard work to satisfy them, which are the wrong account. And the real self is not satisfied by that. Your real spiritual senses are not satisfied by going after these desires, by working hard for these desires. That is why the more you work hard for satisfying your material desires, the more you have to keep working hard. Just like you pour fuel to the fire keeps on increasing. There is no satiation. This is exactly what Krishna is saying. Or a smart person, a sthita prajna, he will not cater to the kaman, which are born within the mind, manogatan, or the mental concoction. Sarvan partha manogatan. All these desires born of the mind to satisfy our senses. A sthita prajna does not work towards that. Rather, he works to satisfy the desires of Krishna. Then how is it that we are satisfied? Krishna is also different, no? He is a different person. How? By satisfying Krishna we are satisfied? No, Krishna is not different. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We should internalize this. The Shastras are saying throughout, the Acharyas are saying throughout, the core of our philosophy is that we are not different from Krishna. Of course, we are different, at the same time not different. Achintya bheda bheda. We can never be separated from Krishna, just like the sunshine can never be separated from the sun. At the same time, the sun is not in the sunshine. The sun is there in its own location, in the sky. So likewise, we are eternally parts and parcels of Krishna. We can never be separated from Krishna. The other example is the tree and the roots. The parts and parcels of the tree all get satisfied when you pour water to the root. That is the real me. That is the real way of satisfying the tree, not by pouring water into these branches or leaves or fruits. That is what the Sthita Prajna does. He does not go after each and every desire. Now, Prabhupada also mentions in the very beginning of the purport a very important shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha harav abhaktasya kuto mahad guna manoradhena satodavato bahihi. So what it means is very interesting meaning. And sometimes people may question, oh, why is it like this? A person who has bhakti for Krishna, yasya asti bhaktihi bhagavati akinchana, akinchana bhakti, that person is supposed to have sarvair gunaihi tatra samasate suraha. He is supposed to have all the great qualities possessed by the devatas, suraha, godly qualities, just by having bhakti. But on the other hand, there may be another person who may be having mahad gunaha from a material estimation. Mahad gunaha means great qualities. He is very sattvic. He lives a life in mode of goodness, honesty, and peaceful, helping nature. All wonderful qualities. But he does not have bhakti, devotion to Krishna. So harav abhaktasya. So he is called abhakta. Even though he may have great qualities, kuto mahad guna, manoradhena sati dhavato bahihi. He is not supposed to be having all these great qualities eventually. Why? Because he is acting on the mental platform. The mind will drag him to commit all kinds of sensual, desirous activities. So, long time ago, I read a news. There was this man who was very charitable and known for his doing community welfare. And he would, kind of a Robin Hood kind of a hero. He would go and he would give food and shelter, and he would help out these poor people from different backgrounds and all of that. So people started to like him so much. And one fine day, they were all shocked to see that he was jailed. And they were all curious why he was jailed. And then they found out that he never paid taxes. Whatever he was earning, he thought, the government is taking all my money. Rather, let me serve all these people without paying tax. So he was evading taxes by different kinds of methods. And he would spend in all these ways. He would do all these good activities. I mean, Mahat Guna, good activities, quote unquote. But in the eyes of the government, he is still a criminal, isn't it? In the eye of the law, if everybody does that without paying taxes to the government, everybody can justify, oh, my family is poor, I have to take care of my family. My society is poor, I have to take care of my society. So that anybody who breaks the law is considered criminal, isn't it? Because it is not his property. He is getting all the amenities from the government. The roads, the police, the schools, everything. The infrastructure, the government provides the security at the border. He's enjoying all of that, but he's not paying tax, and he is using and distributing to everybody and being hailed as a very good person. He may have a good heart. He may be very sattvic, peaceful, charitable. Mahat Guna, great qualities he has. But he is not obedient to the government. He does not follow the law of the land. He does not surrender to the government. He is deceiving, taking the property of the government. So he is considered to be a criminal. On the other hand, one may not be able to do all this help by one's wealth because it's not his wealth. But if he works as a humble instrument of the Lord, he can distribute the Lord's wealth to everyone as per the Lord's dictation. Like the Lord may say, distribute prasadam to all these people who are hungry. And as a humble instrument, we go and distribute the Lord's wealth, Lord's resources, Lord's prasadam to everybody. Lord's prasadam not necessarily only means food. Prasadam means mercy. It can come in the form of food. It can come in the form of distributing books, knowledge, by inviting them to temple. Anything that distributes the Lord's mercy is prasadam. So this man, even though he may not personally give his own wealth, but by sharing the wealth of the Lord, he is considered to have all great qualities. Whereas the other person is distributing his own wealth, but it's not actually his wealth. It is stolen wealth. So that is what it means. Yasyasti bhakti. If you actually have bhakti, you are rightly situated. Otherwise, you are wrongly situated. So, coming back to this shloka, how do we give up? So, it is easier to say, Krishna is saying, Prajahati yada kaman. If you want to become progressed, advanced, or known to be self-realized, you have to stop acting on desires for sense gratification. But how do we do that? We keep on having desires. As a spirit soul, we always have desires. How do we get satisfaction? So Prabhupada says in one place, very powerfully, if you can dovetail your desire for Krishna, in the sense, if you always think of how I can push on this Krishna consciousness movement, if you fully focus and start desiring how to push on this Krishna consciousness movement, then you can easily overcome your desires for sense gratification automatically. By engaging for Krishna, by taking the mission of Krishna and the spiritual master as my mission, owning it, I am part and parcel of it, it is my duty. All your desires, dovetail your desires to those of the desires of the Lord and the spiritual master. So automatically you can overcome your sense gratificatory desires. Automatically. Only by engaging for Krishna, bringing Krishna, your desires can be subsided. Otherwise, you cannot. Some time ago, we had one satsang program in one house. So after the program, one person came and asked me, Prabhu, how I can get rid of my anger? And then I was giving him the example. Say if you have a dark room, so somebody comes and asks you, how do I get rid of the darkness in the room? What will you tell him? You cannot get rid of darkness, isn't it? There is no way you can get rid of darkness by somehow catching it and throwing out. But the smartest way and the natural way of getting rid of darkness is by switching on the light. Just turn on the light, and the light will gradually spread its rays, and the darkness automatically goes out of the room. Isn't it? So similarly, when you gradually bring Krishna to your life, when you start acting on the desires of Krishna, Krishna's desires means my desires. As I said, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We just have to start getting used to that. And when you start acting on the desires of Krishna, automatically all these ulterior desires will be swept away. All these, the so called mind's sense gratificatory feelings will be swept away. Otherwise, you start to act on those. The mind's feelings could be soul's failings. You may think, oh, I'll be satisfied only by this. No, it's a trap. As I said in that story, the father kept on sending money to somebody. It's not helping anybody. It's a trap. The mind will make you think, oh, you are this body, you are the senses, or extended senses, family or nation. All of them are the mind's feelings. We belong to only Krishna and the spiritual master. By that process only everybody can become part and parcel of Krishna. When I work for that, I'm working for everybody. Even though externally people may see I am not helping anybody. No, it is due to their ignorance. By serving Krishna, you should have Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudrudha Nischay. Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Just by serving Krishna, I'm perfectly acting. It is perfection of my duty in whatever capacity. Even though externally I may not be doing great activities. But simply, even if you are, say, cleansing the floor of Krishna's temple, or worshipping the deity, or simply making garlands for the Lord, doing accounts for the Lord, or you may not be doing any of that, simply chanting the holy name of the Lord, you're doing the best service. And only by that our mind becomes satisfied. So that's what Atmani eva atmana tushtaha, coming to the third line. So Prabhupada says the highly developed soul always remains satisfied in himself by realizing himself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Such a transcendentally situated person has no sense desires resulting from petty materialism. Rather, he remains always happy in his natural position of eternally serving the Supreme Lord. There is a shloka from Yamunacharya who mentions this exact same point. How one becomes satisfied by serving the Lord. He says, Bhavantameva nucharan nirantara prashanta nissesha manoradhantara kadahamaikântika nitya kinkara praharshayishyami sanadha jivitam. So he says, O Lord, Bhavantameva anucharan, by serving you constantly, nirantaraha, Bhavantam eva anucharan nirantaraha, by serving you constantly, prashanta nishchesha manoradhantara, my mind becomes completely pacified. I become freed from all kinds of manoradhantara. As Krishna is saying, manogatan, the mind is producing all kinds of desires. So Yamunacharya says, manoradhantara, it's like a chariot producing all kinds of desires. They all become pacified when you serve Krishna. And he says, kada, when aham aikantika nitya kinkaraha, when will I become your eternal servant? And when will I praharshayishyami, I shall rejoice at having sanadha, such a fitting master. Jivitam, when will I live like that? Having the thought that I have such a fitting master, such a glorious master. And when will I become so joyous and completely peaceful? So this is the result of serving Krishna, acting for Krishna. Yan nama shruti matrena puman bhavati nirmalaha. Puman bhavati nirmala. Nirmala means completely pure, peaceful. Puman, a person. Yan nama shruti matrena, simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord. And what to speak of those who have become his servants. If a passerby hears the holy name, he becomes instantly purified. If one actively starts to become servant of Krishna, what to speak of that person? Tasya tirthapada kimva dasanam avasishyate. What is remaining to be attained by those who have become his servants? This verse is told by Durvasa Muni, who tried to attack Ambarish Maharaj, but instead Lord Krishna saved Ambarish Maharaj and he released the Sudarshan Chakra which attacked Durvasa Muni. He had to go around the whole universe. Even Lord Vishnu could not save him. He said, go and fall at the lotus feet of Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj excused him, being a great Vaishnava, compassionate Vaishnava. And then Durvasa Muni, he said, see, I am a great Rishi, great Muni. I have so many mystic powers. I am so powerful that I was about to kill you. But you are an ordinary, you don't have any mystic powers. You are a king after all, but that kingly powers could not help you to withstand my mystic creation. But then what helped you was your devotion to the Lord. So what is remaining for a dasa to be obtained? And you are so satisfied with your devotion. So this is the position of Krishna consciousness. We become completely pacified and satisfied in that position of serving Krishna. It is so glorious. I'll stop here. Anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to unmute yourself. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Prema.